Welcome to The Ancient Way. I'm James.
I'm Marlia.
We have another special guest. I say that every time. Another incredibly special guest today with us, Shae Bynes. Shae, how are you?
I am doing fantastic. How are you both?
Good.
You're so good.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so excited to jump into this because it's so sweet that especially the theme of rest has been through several of our guests here recently, and even certain things that James and I have kind of dove into. And I feel like you fit right up that alley. So I'm so excited about it. So you have this new book that came out called Grace Over Grind, right?
This is not a new book, is it?
Yeah, it's like a 5-year-old book that I just did a 5th anniversry expanded edition of. Yes, Grace Over Grind, How Grace Will Take Your Business Where Grinding Can't.
It's beautiful.
Good. Matt, when he told us that title,
Matt Tommy.
Matt Tommy. I was like, oh yeah, that's legit. Where we're at now, I'm the director of this nonprofit, and it's like a business incubator, and all the innovators and inventors and creatives come here to bring their ideas to life. And I see the grind a lot.
Yeah.
I see it a whole lot. And so it's the fact that it's so heavy and the grind is everywhere is good, because the opportunity for connection with the Lord and rest to shine is there. It's that much more brighter, really.
That's true.
As people see people operating in it, I think it'll unshackle them. And so I definitely appreciate what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
Can you share a little bit, kind of the best synopsis that you can even come up with of what you feel like was the greatest thing that the Lord imparted to you while writing that book?
Well, I'm going to start with the scripture that led to the lifestyle shift that led to the book, because that's the foundation.
Cool.
So what happened was, I've been, even when I was in my corporate days, I always had business on the side. I learned the world of entrepreneurship from, like, get your grind on, be on team, no sleep, you can sleep when you're dead, that whole thing. So I kind of came up in that lifestyle of business. And I remember being in church one day, and at this point I was a full-time business owner, and our pastor did a message on Matthew chapter 11, verse 28 through 30. Now, this is a scripture commonly known as when Jesus says, "Come to me, all of those who are weary and heavy laden, I will give you rest." He talks about how his yoke is easy and his burden is light, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this particular day, our pastor did it in the message. I'd never heard it before. And it says, "Are you tired, worn out, burnt out on religion? Come to me. Get away with me and you will recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me, work with me, watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me and you will learn to live freely and lightly." And when I heard that, it hit me like lightning and water simultaneously.
Yeah.
And it was like, there's a gap between my life, certainly my work life, my business life, and what I just heard as the invitation from Jesus on how I should function. I heard that walk with me, work with me, keep company with me, and that was the beginning. I was like, Lord, show me that. And that was the beginning of the journey, because I was like, there's an invitation here and I need to walk this thing out.
That's brilliant. That's so beautiful.
Yeah. Eugene Peterson, that message, man. I don't read the Message translation very often, but sometimes when I do, man, that hits. And it hit Matthew 11, 28 through 30.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just
all of our mini translations.
That's so beautiful, because I feel like that's just the key in life, right? So like all of our spheres are aligned in that, really. It's just, business is just another expression in which we actually can display the kingdom of heaven.
That's right.
And it doesn't have to be, we don't have to adopt the world standards. Like, it's actually the renewing of our mind to actually align into his ways. And that's what it is like, hey, don't be conformed to this image, the image of the earth, the grind of the hustle of like, we are designed and created from rest and for rest.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. And that was the beauty too, was also realizing that maybe in some aspects of my life, like I would say a bit as a mom, a bit as a wife, definitely as a mom, that I was kind of operating from that place. And it's realizing that, wait, this should be my entire life. There should be no compartmentalization in how I live and move and have my being in him. So this is like, so Grace Over Grind became a life a lifestyle like that I was going after. Like, Lord, show me that, what that looks like in every area of my life. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. I actually had a dream about that. This was probably 2 or 3 years ago. And in the dream, I had all these different rooms, all these different compartments that I had organized in my life because it was like this big building. Anyways, but I put a fire, or I'd started a fire in one room and it consumed the whole house. And it started to break down all the different compartments. And I had said, literally in the dream, I said, oh my gosh, all the compartments are gone. Anyways, when I woke up, it was so clear of like how much we can try and compartmentalize our life, but the all-consuming fire actually wants there to be no separation in our spheres.
Yeah.
Like we should be the same when we're hanging out here as we are in our business, as we are when we're around our church friends, our non-Christian friends, like whoever, like we should be consistent in all our ways.
Yes.
And it's like, it's a beautiful opportunity is what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
It's an invitation.
Yeah, it really is.
Well,
it was funny because when I went from so many years ago when I had that encounter and then was beginning to walk it out, it was all about the invitation. And then by the time I got to the point where I'm writing a 5th anniversary edition of this book, I'm like, this is an invitation, but it's also what we're called to. Like I have whole nother lens on this thing now, having now walked this out for a while and mentoring others in it. Cause I'm like, wait, this is actually the way we're supposed to live.
Yeah.
This is the way.
We're invited to it, but we're also called to it. Like this is what we should believe should be the life of a believer.
Yeah.
This should be the evidence that reveals his glory, that we actually live, work, have our very being in him.
Yeah.
So
and he's the good shepherd. We don't have to shepherd ourselves. What did you so after that message translation version of that scripture, when that hits you, how did you put feet to that afterwards? Like where did you first like, okay, I'm gonna like surrender this to him in this moment? What was your first step in that?
Yeah. So a couple things. So one, I had never really engaged God in my everyday work life. It's kind of like, just holla at him if I got a problem or, those types of things. So I was like, wait, so if I'm going to work with you, then there's a couple things. One, I need to grow in my confidence that I actually hear your voice, because you said that my sheep hear my voice. So I know that I can. So I want to make sure that I'm building confidence that I do. So the first thing that I did was I started reading scripture differently. I used to read scripture for achievement, just like, I wouldn't have said that, but it's essentially what I was doing. Make sure to do a chapter a week or Bible in a year or, whatever. And I started engaging scripture, and I'd just be like, Lord, where are we going to read today? And I would just start reading, and I'd be like, Holy Spirit, make this word come alive for me. Like talk to me while I'm reading this word. So I started practicing by engaging, and I realized like God's talking to me about stuff that's not on these words that I'm actually reading. He's bringing truth to this in a way I can see it differently. And I'm experiencing other things in other aspects and application of my life. So it was like became a conversation. I'm a to-do list girl. I started taking my to-do list for my business, and I was like, all right, so Lord, I'm gonna have a daily business meeting with you. So here's my thoughts about this week. What are your thoughts? Brilliant. It became a dialogue. It's like, Lord, what's your heart concerning this business?
Yeah.
What's your heart concerning the people that I serve? Like, what are your thoughts? I want your mind and heart concerning all this stuff. So I started engaging in dialogue. But the key was that when I would hear things or sense things, I wouldn't have what I call the mind grind and be like, oh, but I'm not even sure. Was that God? Was that the pizza from 11 p.m.? Was that like the enemy? I would say, since he said, my sheep hear my voice, if this is not counter to his nature, and this is not against the scripture, I'm going to move in faith as if what I heard was from God. And then I was just exercising that faith muscle over and over again in a business context, in terms of my business decisions, how I was engaging people and what I was doing operationally and all of that. And I was growing in confidence that I do hear his voice, right? And the ways in which I hear his voice, it all happened from being willing to take those steps in faith based off of what I believed was what he was revealing to me. That's what it was like in the beginning.
So
I love that. And you just
Daily
invited him
business
into
meetings
it.
with God.
Yeah. And one thing you said is if it didn't measure up to his nature, what you were hearing, but if it did, then you would take it. It's like, is this love? Is this peace? Is this joy? Then run with it. I love that. The discernment. of his
Yeah.
voice.
Yeah. And it didn't mean that on the other side of what I heard was necessarily going to be the exact right path, but I wouldn't know. I wouldn't get any course correction if I wasn't willing to take a step.
That's true.
So
right?
good.
So it's just like having the freedom to move.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I feel like that is a massive key for people.
Yeah.
Is, well, one, you don't, the second guessing and the, I don't know, it creates a freeze, right? Fight, flight, or freeze. Like, it's when you have this inability to move forward in anything because you're afraid you're either going to get punished or it's going to be wrong, and then you'll screw everything up because you think you have so much power. Which,
right.
in some fact, I mean, you do, but there's also the Lord is so much greater that he wants to course correct, right? But you can't course correct unless you are actually moving.
Mm-hmm.
That was one thing. I actually refereed basketball in the NBA, the developmental league, to get into the NBA. But that's what they always told us is you want somebody that will always overblow the whistle, because then it's easier to rein you back than for you not to blow your whistle. Because a lot of people put whistles on things that are not fouls.
Yeah.
Sorry, James, I know you're not a sports person, but
I'm following you, barely.
But it's like they always say overblow. It doesn't matter. And I feel like that's a key in life is like, go, stretch.
Be in it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Like, try it. It's so...
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I feel like it's so much greater, the experiences that you have when you decide to move forward in something, because something gets added to you in that. Mm-hmm. If you're just frozen, a lot of things can't get really added to you because you're stagnant.
Yes.
Sorry,
but
what
you
were you
said
saying?
Something that was really key, which was that one of the reasons why people often get stagnated is out of the fear of punishment or fear of screwing up and all of those things. And that's why I think that foundation of knowing that we are his beloved, sons and daughters, and like having just kind of a healthy perspective on who we are to him helps us to walk in that. I know for me, when he was focusing on just developing me and my identity, he started first with who I am as his beloved daughter, because by doing that, it really helped me to have so much more confidence in being okay with messing up. Because I know that he has his best in mind for me. It's not like I'm not going to make God look bad because as I was following God, I made a mistake. It's just interesting because, in the business context, like we'll go and like hire a coach or hire a consultant, take a massive checklist of things and be like, here's what I need to do. And we'll do it without any fear or concern. But then as soon as it's like we're seeking God around strategy or his thought or my concerning something, we put this weird burden on ourselves all of a sudden that, what happens if I take a step and this isn't quite right? Where we don't do that when we'll take insight from others, so we just put this weird burden on ourselves. And so I always like to tell people, it's just like, just be free to move, and you will make mistakes, but it doesn't matter. And nothing gets wasted in the kingdom anyway.
Absolutely.
So,
what I found, usually whenever he does tell me something, if I act on it, it's usually correct. It's usually accurate. He's the good father. There's rarely any mess ups, really. He always pulls through for the most part.
I mean, I guess it depends on the perspective of a mess up and how quick you call something a mess up. Because to me, if I'm starting to take a path on something and then realizing, oh, okay, wait a second, I'm getting course corrected a bit. I was kind of coming with a different lens on this. Now I need to move over here and then do this. Some people would say at the point of that course correction, oh, yep, I missed it. For me, I'm saying, I just got a refinement. And so I'm headed in the direction. The whole time I'm headed in the direction of his best.
The story that unlocked me is when I first started to like practice hearing his voice and follow through with it. I would do it at work. I worked at a warehouse, and truck drivers would come through, and I'd pray for all these burly truck drivers, with the big beards and stuff. And one day I left, and the Lord popped a vision in my head. There's this old lady. I saw her specifically. She's at Lowe's, and she's on this aisle. I need you to go tell her that her sister is going to be okay. And I'm like, wow, I'm either crazy or that's you. And that sounds like love to me.
Yes.
And so I go to Lowe's, and I'm fighting it. I had a bad day. I'm like, I don't want to do this, but I'll do it, And I get there, and I go into Lowe's, and I go down the aisle, And I see this lady, exactly what he showed me. And I backed out of it. And I said, I'm not doing it. And I left. And I felt so condemned and guilty after that. And he came in like a dove, just gentle. And he said, hey, it's okay. He said, I'm going to get to her regardless. This is just an opportunity for you to just partner up with me. And that eliminated any grid of like, if I don't do it, I messed up. He's not going to give me anything else. It just eliminated that grid and it freed me to, okay, I can like safely and gently do this,
Yes.
So
that's so good. That actually, you were sharing that. I was like, that reminded me of something that happened to me when I was, so this was relatively early on of me just like, moving with God.
Oh yeah.
And I remember my husband and I, we were actually shopping for a car, and the guy at the car dealer came out limping. And I really felt like the Lord wanted me to pray for him, to declare healing over this man. And I'm thinking, no way. There's no way I'm like doing that, Lord. And I'm sitting here and I'm having this whole conversation in my head. And as he's continuing to talk to us about the issues he's having in his body, my husband is a massage therapist, right? So my husband starts engaging him in conversation at the massage therapy level. So I'm like, oh, I'm off the hook because my husband, the massage therapist, is talking to him about, all of these things. But I'm telling you, the Lord's like, pray for this man, pray for this man. Yeah. I didn't do it. I was so scared to do it. And when we left, I felt exactly the way you felt.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it's so sweetly, he's like, you so sweetly and gently was like, yes, that was an opportunity that you missed, but don't condemn yourself. I'm inviting you to just be courageous and partner with me. It was like such a quick assurance. And then I went to a conference like, I think that maybe the next week or 2 weeks after that. And when I got there, the Lord was just challenging me over and over and over again with people there. And I accepted the invitation that next time. Right. But I remember going through that, but he's just so kind to just remind us of who we are to him and who he is to us, in those moments. It's like, there's no condemnation. It's just like, okay, missed opportunity, but the invitation will come back. And God's got a perfect plan for that person too. So you don't have to feel like, oh, that was all on me.
Yeah.
And I missed it, Lord.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's not ashamed of us.
No.
Yeah.
Ever.
I love how the Passion puts it in Romans 8:1. It says, so now the case is closed. There remains no accusing voice of condemnation against those who are joined in life union with Jesus, the Anointed One.
That's good.
And it's like, man, to take on the voice of accusation is wrong God. Like, that's actually the wrong one speaking to you. That's actually the wolf that's trying to snatch you of even your destiny. And so
if that ever pops in anywhere, you've got full permission to
the case is closed. No. You can actually render the verdict that the Lord said. Hey, that's not my right.
What a relief that is.
Yeah.
Catch that alligator before it walks in.
And I loved that phrase, it was union.
In life union.
In life union. Jesus. That was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that passion, that sometimes hits too.
It'll hit. That passion will hit you.
That passion hits me too. I get it. Those who are joined in life union with Jesus.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I feel like that's what this is. And I felt like that, even your book, man, I thought it was beautiful. That's like the essence to me. Everything is in life union with him. We are in unity. We are at one with the Spirit of the Lord. And there's no more separation, like the Colossians 1. We talk about this all the time, but like the lie of separation is completely ripped. We are not separate from him.
Yeah.
Like we're actually with him in all times and he's in us.
Yes.
And we have access to the one that actually spoke all of these things into existence. And it's like, if he could create this beautiful place out of nothing, I'm pretty sure he can speak into anything that looks like a roadblock in front of you.
Yeah.
In your business,
And he's got it. He's got it. It's like he has it all lined out for us. He's got the pathway lined out, and the key to unlocking promotion and all this stuff is rest. It is from a seat of rest. And then, I've seen that in my life, and it's like, how did this happen? I just work here, like I just do what he says and love people where I'm at. And that unlocks everything. Really?
Yeah.
But even kind of what we were talking about the other day is like, it's finding delight. It's delighting with the Lord, delighting in the Lord, delighting in the things that he's even given you to cultivate with him. Kind of like Adam in the garden is like, they cultivated life together.
Yeah.
And that's what we get to do, like, in all things.
Yeah. And he's all about
That's it.
relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, we can get there later. We'll get to where we're going and stuff, but like this is the core of like life itself. This is what matters, is like know me, relationship, know me, love everybody around you.
That's it.
It's incredible.
That's
what a privilege
what's
to be
the address
alive.
on Psalm is it 37? The delight yourself in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was looking that up, and I can't remember exactly where in the Psalm it is, but that word delight meaning to be pliable in his hands. And it was like, wow. I mean, that was a game changer for me, because it's like, and I was thinking about that even from, you know, we're taking out these compartments, right?
Yeah.
So as a mom, as a wife, as a business owner, all these things, me being pliable in his hands, me delighting myself in him, that then my heart's desires become aligned with his heart's desires. My dreams are his dreams. Like they become aligned, and it's such a beautiful freedom. I remember when I was kind of in this journey of kind of growing with God in business, and I remember how I had probably about a 2.5-year period of time where I was getting a lot of instructions from the Lord, a lot. And I was really learning how to just flow with him. And I was learning how to dismantle some of my thought processes around business of what had to be done versus him saying, this is actually what I want you to do. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I'm gonna go with you, Lord. Right. Yeah. So I was kind of walking through that. And I remember after about 2 to 2.5 years, I remember that all of a sudden I wasn't getting nearly as many instructions anymore. And I remember I used to have this thing where I'd be like, what we doing, Jesus? What we doing today, Jesus? What we doing? And it was like I was hearing an echo back, what are we doing? And I was like, no, what we doing, Jesus? Because I was waiting for more instructions. Like, you know, where are the instructions? We've been doing this instruction thing. 2 weeks go by. And I'm just like, it's not that I wasn't getting any instructions, but it was way different. And I was like, something's changed. And I remember saying one more time, what we doing, Jesus? And I heard so distinctly, what are we doing? And then I realized the question was being asked to me.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait, you're asking me. He says, you have my heart. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
And it opened up this whole, it was like, that was the epitome of delight yourself in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. That was my own example in my life of walking that out, when I realized, wow, he's letting me know we're aligned on this thing. So let's go do this together. He had dismantled a whole bunch of stuff.
Beautiful.
Of my grind culture, and what I thought about business and how I thought things needed to be done and how I thought I needed to show up, you know, and he was dismantling all those things and aligning me with what his mind and heart was concerning the work that I was doing. And that really changed everything. It like unlocked another level of freedom of walking things out with him and being creative with him and, you know, innovative with him, you know.
That's
like,
so good.
Can you imagine how proud he is of his daughter or his son when he's like, look, they're making decisions. They're functioning now. They have my mind. They have my heart. That's beautiful.
That reminds me.
The confidence.
There was a period of time where I had a very similar experience. But the Lord said, you've been such a faithful servant, but now I want to know you as my friend.
Yeah.
And it was this shift for me of like, I had done, and I mean, tell you what, I was pretty good their servant for a little bit. You know, like, you know, like just faithful. Like my heart was to serve him. My heart was to like, I wanted to love him. I wanted to do the disciplines. But it was so sweet because, and it wasn't, there was no even shame in that, because he said, you wouldn't have been able to know me as a friend had you not already walked through that season. And so I didn't even shame myself for it. It was just like, I get to know you in a different way. And then that became more of like, hey, how are we doing this together?
Yeah.
How are we building this together? And so he would literally ask me like, hey, what are your thoughts about this business? And I'd be like, well, this is what I think. And he'd be like, yeah, that feels right. And so like things just started to click. And you know, it's just so beautiful. But I think that allowing yourself to be at wherever you're at on the journey, even if you're still in servant mode.
Yeah.
That's right.
Extract all of that. Extract every lesson, every ounce of what the Lord is trying to teach you in that season, because you're not ending there. I'm not ending in the season I'm in. Like we're all moving forward. There's all movement. And I don't even think there's like hierarchies or like levels. It's just like
elements.
Yeah. Different pieces to the puzzle. It's like a round circle. It's not a ladder.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's so good. I think about how So God really built me an identity like building blocks, but with the understanding that it was like a circle. So the very first thing was, I want you to know who you are as my beloved daughter. And that was what helped me not to be a control freak and put the guard down to say, I trust you, Lord, and I will walk in obedience even when it doesn't make sense to my natural mind, because he tested that a lot for me.
Amen. Come on.
Right. So,
come on.
So he rooted me very solidly with some wild encounters, solidly in who I am as his beloved daughter. And then I went right into faithful servant mode. It's just like, okay, I'm going to be faithful and obedient. I'm going to be faithful and obedient. And it was like, I was in that season, like what we talked about. And then it was like, he actually did that whole thing about, I want you, let's do this in friendship. Like, you have my heart, mind, let's do this. And then that was for years. And so then it was like, I was all of those things. But then a handful of years later, it was just like, I want to talk to you about the authority that you have in me. And I'm like, oh, new conversations. What does this look like? What does that mean? How does that look like in these other areas of my life? And he's still unpacking layers of the authority that you have in me and with me right now. And what union looks like from this element of things. But I'm still a faithful servant. I'm still a friend, right? I'm still a beloved daughter. None of those other things go anywhere. So like you said, it's not like a hierarchy, but it's funny to me how he did build me. I don't know, everyone's walk is different, but he absolutely was like, I'm going to take you through an experience with me for a period of time, focused in on one element of this circle.
Yeah. I think it's so important because it becomes a part of you. You know, like, I think about people who are, I had a dream about it. It's octopuses, right? They extend into so many different areas that it actually will squash wisdom when you're overextended. And I think that's a key that the Lord uses is like, hey, we actually chop off some of these tentacles so you can actually hyper focus. And when you actually focus on something, it can come in, it becomes a part of you, and then we can go. Like, you expand that way. If you're so stretched thin, and I just feel that, just kind of talking about this for anybody that may feel like they're extended or overstretched, is actually ask the Lord, what can we actually focus on, and cultivate that very essence, because the rest of it will all fall into place. And you don't have to worry about putting your hands into all these different spheres. Like, there'll be enhancement in that. But
I always say, you don't have to grind in your spiritual development either.
Right.
Yeah, man.
You don't have to grind in anything. Well, no, I need to figure out all these things and figure out how to grow and be in all of these different ways. Like, you don't have to grind there either.
You don't have to figure it out. Just have the yes in your heart. That's it.
Or even in your business, you know, like, if you feel like you've stressed yourself thin of like, I have all these jobs and all these responsibilities. It's like, well, I actually ask for the wisdom of heaven.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, and kind of what we talked about, I guess, a couple episodes ago, is if it feels difficult like that, surrender it to him. And that goes back to the scripture, delight yourself in the Lord. That's one of my favorite scriptures, because he put the desires.
So what's the address? Psalm, what is it?
I couldn't find it.
We need to, and I don't know it either. I know the scripture.
You didn't know it either. Okay.
It's not you. It's not just
I thought
you.
for sure you were going to know it.
No, I'm bad with numbers. It's in here. But that scripture is like, it's in my shirt. Yes, in my pocket here. But it's like he put the stuff there to fulfill it. So he's the one who put it there to begin with. So don't go looking for it on your own. But the fact, I'd never heard it the way you said it, like, be malleable, be like clay. That's beautiful. And that is saying like, hey, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I'm giving it to you. So
it's that word delight in the when you do a word study on delight, that's where you get down to being pliable and being flexible in his hands.
It's Psalm 37:4.
30. Okay, so it is 37:4. Okay,
you got that.
You got it.
See, don't be doubting yourself. Look at that. Just
nail
it.
You know, Psalm has like 100 and something books in it.
There's so many
it's
Psalms.
The biggest one.
So funny.
Yeah, that is so good. I'm curious about something, because you mentioned that you've had multiple businesses. So what is some of the business that you've been involved with where you were learning how to do business with God?
Oh, so my husband and I owned a gym for 5 years while I was also refereeing and traveling across the entire United States. So I know a thing or two about extending yourself. I'm kind of an expert. Just kidding. But then that was cool because the Lord actually did this whole process where he told us that we're selling it. And I was like, okay. But he was like, also just rest. And I was like, that doesn't feel right. And he literally said, do not tell anybody that you're selling it, whatever. And he said, just wait and rest. And that's all I got for 3 months. And I was like, I don't know how this is going to happen. I just had my daughter. She's 2.5, well, almost 3. She'll be 3 in June. So this was in 2020 when all this crazy was happening.
Yeah.
Anyways, long story short, somebody out of nowhere approached us about selling or if they could buy our gym. And I was like, absolutely. Well, the number that my husband and I had come up with, they had actually asked above and beyond that if they could buy it for that price. And I was like, yes. We didn't tell them our price.
Right.
That was
Didn't
just,
have to.
It was the Lord. Yeah. Like he literally set the whole thing up, transitioned. Then it was another period. It was a 1.5 years of us waiting. And then we've recently now opened a wellness center back in September of 2022 with some business partners this time.
Yeah.
And so this wellness center is like, it's all preventative medicine. It's red light therapy, PEMF therapy, frequency therapy, light therapy, massage therapy. It's just alternative ways of health.
Nice.
But that's been it's kind of dope. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But even that came through a dream.
Such a great example too, that you shared where he's like, I just want you to rest. Like it could have been a grind. Like you could have done that. When I think about grind, excessive hard work, doing things primarily in your own strength. You could have done that. We really need to sell. God said to sell. We need to sell. We got to make this happen.
Let's post it. Let's ask people if they want to buy it. Let's do this. Let's try and.
Yes. And it would have been for your price too, because you had your price in mind. So you would have been grinding it out for less than what God had for you when you rested in Him.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That to me, that's actually the way of the kingdom, right?
Yep.
Yes.
The way of the kingdom actually has a higher agenda than we could even come up with in our own mind.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so when we align to it, it actually causes limitless thinking and limitless understanding of things too.
And it's fun. It's exciting. It's like, what is he going to do? I know it's going to be better than what I could do.
No doubt.
It's like when we bought our house, that was another one. I
James
told
has
that
a
story
super cool
yesterday.
story.
The Lord told us to move to Tyler. Long story short,
they were living like 45 minutes out.
Yeah. Long story short, 2 years later, it's like, oh yeah, we should probably do that. So we come looking for a house and we're putting offers in, getting blown out of the water. And then we finally get one. They accept our offer and it's pretty big. And we finally get it. We get the inspection done on the house. And then my dad calls me. He's like, hey, I had a dream. Y'all were at a new house and the for sale sign was laying down in the yard. And so I was like, oh, maybe the Lord has a house for us that's not for sale, that nobody knows is for sale. And I talked to my wife about it over dinner and we just agreed, like, I think we should back out of this. It makes no sense. But sometimes the most important decision is to say no.
Mm-hmm.
And so we said, okay, let's test the waters and see if God has this for us. So we backed out of the deal and they're like, what? It was a little shocking. The very next day, a guy that I've helped and worked with and stuff says, how's house hunting going? Oh, you should just buy my house. Gave us an incredible deal. It was not on the market. And so that dream, this new house that no one knew was for sale, we got it, an incredible deal on it. And we're here.
Living your best life.
And then when I moved here, I got this job. Like the same, another one of the same days.
It was like the same day or same week?
Yeah, I think it was the same day. And I don't sugarcoat
I'm pretty
things.
sure it is the same day.
Yeah. And so, and I had a dream about that where he told me my position and
he literally had a dream about being an executive director.
A director. And by the same guy anyways.
No, I love that. So you get dreams frequently?
Yeah, we both do.
I was going to say, I've already heard you mention dream multiple times, so I knew that was the case for you. But I go back to this whole thing about that cultivating intimacy with God and having confidence, because you could have dreams and people would just be like completely not think anything of those dreams, but yet God's speaking to them through dreams. So it's like, if you don't steward that, you never know. I found that there was like these sweet spots, like when I take these particular walks, when I'm by water, I started finding that there was just certain things that were like, wow, it's like, I don't know, God seems to speak to me a bit more in these particular ways than in these ways or whatever. And so like, we'll say hear from God, but yet the expression of that is so broad. And if we're not willing to, like, in faith, walk out some of these things, we don't we don't know.
Yeah.
For sure.
We just think that these things are random coincidences, or we don't even find out if it's a coincidence because we don't steward the thing to find out what's on the other side of that, of walking that thing out in faith.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I had a dream 7 months ago about something that was going to happen in 7 hours. And then literally, I mean, down to like my car got stolen, and I mean, down to like details. But for me, it was like, hey, that's a timestamp. It was a timestamp of, hey, I see these things are going to happen, but this is a timestamp about something that's being pivoted in your life.
Yeah.
And so even that like gave me direction. But when I had the dream, I was like, that was freaking weird.
Yeah.
Like I didn't think anything about it, had no idea until at the very end of the dream, I was given a black Nissan. And lo and behold, after my car got stolen, the rental car that they were given was a black Nissan. And that triggered the thought. I was like, oh, I think I had a dream about a black Nissan. So then I went and looked through and I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Like this.
Right, you're like, I did dream this thing out.
I just dreamed what happened.
He told you. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I feel like
beautiful.
is beautiful, is that God actually wants to tell us all the details of our life.
Yeah.
He actually wants to be intertwined and also give us heads up so we're not going in blind on things.
Yeah.
And we have the opportunity to see and what does it say? Like a man without vision will perish. It's like,
well, part of stewarding it is developing the language and the relationship with him. So sometimes he does tell you something and it's more of a spiritual meaning. And sometimes it's like, hey, this is going to happen. And then you know, like, okay, this is actually going to happen.
well, I didn't know it was going to happen until it happened.
But you will. Next time, you get there, I think.
I'm just playing.
No, because I had one like that too, where some people, like, I had a dream or some people got cleaning out their desk at work. And the next day I came in, didn't think anything of it. Same dude in the dream is cleaning out his desk and leaving. I was like, oh, that was just a legit one,
There it is.
That's funny. But I don't have a lot of literal dreams like that, but I'll have these profoundly symbolic ones that are like, wow, by the time I've unpacked that, I'm like, okay. So not frequently, but they happen. My husband is actually now the CEO of the company I co-founded, Kingdom Driven LLC. He became the CEO at the end of 2020. And now I remember I told you he's a massage therapist. He had a massage practice for 20 something years. We never thought he was going to be the CEO of the company that I co-founded. It was never on either of our radars.
Yeah.
But as God was showing me my next, giving me glimpses of vision that I was seeing, oh, I'm not going to be in the CEO seat much longer. I'm thinking, well, I don't know who's going to be the next CEO. And I mean, we had a COO, but I knew that wasn't going to be the CEO. I was just like, I don't know who the next CEO is going to be. And I remember, this is so funny. So I go in and I'm still thinking, I'm like, Lord, you keep showing me vision of stuff, but who's the CEO? And my dear sister who's on our team, she's also a prophetic strategist. I was complaining to her about like, why did Lord keep showing me like me not in the CEO seat, but not showing me who the CEO is, And I said, there's been no one prepared to be the CEO. She says, your husband has. And I laughed because it seemed ridiculous that she would say that, because my husband was barely in the company. He had his own business going. But when I was done laughing, I was like, that's actually kind of true, because he's walked with me through this thing and has been a source of wisdom from day one since 2012. So then I'm like, well, Lord, if this is you, you're going to need to talk to your son, because what I don't want to do is go to my husband and say, honey, that you've been running your massage practice for 20 something years and never thought you'd be the CEO of this company. It was never on our radar. By the way, I think that's what the Lord wants for you. So I was like, Lord, if this is what you're doing, talk to your son. So let's keep the marital thing like real solid. Like you talk to your son about that.
No control involved.
And he gave him a dream.
That's incredible.
He gave him a dream. It was powerful. And the symbolism in the dream, there was two things in the dream. One of them represented a transition of power. The other one represented readiness. He was like, wait, I think God is doing this. And I was like, well, when do you want to start, babe? He's like, I'll start in November. That was a dream he had in September. And then he took on the CEO role in November. It's like, God will speak to us profoundly.
Oh, that's great. And then it's like what the Lord establishes, you can't take that away. You don't have to maintain it yourself. It's like he puts you there.
Yeah,
that's right.
Whatever you work
and it's helpful, right? Because for him, that's helpful then for him to know I'm meant to be here, even though I wasn't a part of building this per se. Although I was, I was helping my wife, behind the scenes as just a source of wise counsel. For him to know, no, God placed me in this position. Gives him a level of confidence, even in the midst of all the things he does not know about actually running this particular business because he's a massage therapist who ran a massage practice,
Yeah.
right? Completely different businesses, but he knows God put him there. And so then he was able to seek God's heart for, okay, well, why me here? What is it in me that you want to be released out of me here that's needed here? And it's just so cool how God will just give us just affirm us and confirm us in the areas that he's called us to.
Yeah.
So good. I love too, it's like when things do shift, like if people are in transitions, it's like the reason even the Lord does that is actually for the enhancement of all people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like it enhanced you to be able to step out of that. It enhanced your husband to be able to step into that. And I guarantee you, your whole team started to flow better. As soon as that clicks, it's like
different. Yeah.
Yeah, it's different.
It
looks
when
different.
I got out the way. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's brilliant. I think it's wonderful. I think that's actually what family looks like. I think that's what the kingdom looks like is how can I get under somebody and enhance them? How can I get them to flow into what they were created to? How can I, even just create space for them?
Yes.
Like it's so important. I think even in your business, it's so important to how can I facilitate their strengths? How can I make space for this person to really thrive and not just fill a function or fill a role? Or because I feel like at the end of the day, you have a staff, you have a team, like they should also be very happy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
that's it.
I know a lot of it's internal work, but also you can create space by putting the right people in the right spots.
Absolutely.
That's right. That's right. And I love, one thing that's been really fun working with CEOs who have teams that I've mentored, who've read this book is how can I, regardless of the faith background of my team, what does it look like for me to create a culture here in this company that is God's grace over everybody's grind? Like, what does that look like? And it's been so fun to see how that's been expressed, in different ways and different types of businesses with different teams and what that's looked like and the testimonies that come out of that. Because we shouldn't be like, oh, well, I'm not going to grind, but I'm going to expect my team members to
100, yes.
Right.
It
makes no sense.
That's incongruent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's like teaching. This is what I really feel like. Leadership, authority, well, not, but like leadership, pastors, teachers, CEOs, CFOs, we should all actually just be training people to basically take our spot, like do as we do. Like we model as Jesus modeled to us. And so like we should actually be getting under them and being like, hey, this is what it looks like to rest in business. Hey, what are your thoughts in this? Like actually get people's input and work as teams and work as getting underneath other people. Cause I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah.
Like you can't ask somebody to do something that you're not willing to go and do yourself.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't work. It's not, there has to be that cohesion. There has to be that unity.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Yeah. To want the best for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. It shouldn't stop at, oh, well, I'm developing kingdom culture within myself, but then not extended to, whatever that sphere of influence is around you.
Because I feel like that's what, but that's what we're doing even in our businesses, right? I don't think that there's like ministry and business. Like, I don't think anything is secular. I think it all is kingdom.
Yes.
And I believe that our businesses as ambassadors, as like his kids, who are just helping other people wake up to realize that they're also his kids, we're really just making space for the kingdom. And so you want all the people on board to realize, like, one, you're in full authority, but also you have the ability to make space here and still give great business.
Yeah.
You know, like I've worked with so many, even just Christian businesses that kind of suck.
Yeah.
I mean that nicely, but like, they're not kind. They're not.
It's true.
They're not hospitable. They're like, they don't carry the nature of the Lord. And it's like, man, there's a piece missing. Like,
yes.
Anyways.
Yeah.
And it's funny, this whole thing we were talking about, this with factor. There's this dichotomy where it's like, well, I'm out here working for God, versus I'm working with God.
Yeah.
And those who are saying I'm working for God, I'm not saying all, I don't like to use, but often you'll find yourself in the grind doing things primarily in your own strength for God that may or may not even be aligned with what he has for you, even
enough.
Yeah.
Period.
Absolutely.
But you're out here like striving for for God.
Yeah.
You know, and we can like miss God striving for God.
Yeah.
Listen, that's what the Pharisees did. They
Yeah.
had the greatest
Right.
intentions of the world.
Absolutely.
I really think
Yeah.
so. I think they actually had a heart to actually want to know God, but they were so bound by their obligation and bound by
Yeah.
To
they're
him and
working.
for him.
Yeah,
Which
they're
even the
for
language
him.
for him is like he's distant. With him is like we're together. Even that
Yeah.
language there is
Life union.
yes.
I feel like it goes
Yeah.
back to it, man. That's just where it
Yeah,
is.
it does. And what is like all this? I like to sit in the vision of it. Like, what does it look like when all of these businesses have the Lord in them?
Yeah.
When He's functioning through them, when He's infiltrated businesses, like what does that do to the world? What does that do to like our cities? You know,
It fundamentally changes them.
the world. Yes.
I mean, because you're talking about the level of solutions that are coming from the kingdom to, you know, heal broken places and spaces, you know, to bring whether it's systems and structures that are broken that need a kingdom solution in the midst of them, you know, whether it's a solution for some type of health issue, problem, you know, whatever. It's just, there's so much goodness in the partnership with God because it's like, we're talking about partnering with the Creator. I often think about Dr. George Washington Carver. And I don't know if you guys know much about his story, but I just like when he tells the story about how, you know, he's like, I have this God's little workshop, you know, my little lab. And when I walk, I'm talking to God and saying, you know, what's your meaning for the whole world? And he's like, you might want to bring the scope of your question down a bit. Well, you know, what about the peanut? And it's like, okay, well, what about the peanut? And he's having this conversation with the Lord around the peanut, and the Lord's showing him how to take apart a peanut and put it back together, that then leads him to innovating hundreds of products and fixing a broken system agriculturally.
Wow.
Because he was engaging the Creator. He called him Mr. Creator. So engaging Mr. Creator unlocked the vision for a brilliant scientist who had tons of scientific knowledge, but in his scientific knowledge, in partnership with the Creator, then gets to see inside how to take something apart, what that looks like, and what that can create.
Yeah.
And I love his story because it just tells you, I love his story so much because he was a scientist, a brilliant scientist partnering with the Creator.
Yeah.
You know? And then all that innovation that comes when someone would be like, well, the scientist does all the innovating. This scientist was innovating with God.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would lead to multiplication.
That is so brilliant because it's like, that's actually what we all have access to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I love him, but he wasn't anybody special. He is like like we are all literally have that mass amount of potential within us. Yeah. Every single one of us.
We have that green light.
That's right.
Yeah. And we do. We all have the green light to connect to him in that way. And I think that's even what business is even designed to do, is actually transform cities.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
So you think about all that innovation in partnership with him, based off of all the knowledge we've gained and experiences we gained, which is like good, but then in partnership with like the Creator of the universe, you know, and all the solutions that unlocks. And that's exciting to me. Yeah. That's a lot more exciting to me than the idea of just, you know, we're just out here just to evangelize. But it's like, well, what does it look like to do business with God?
Yeah.
And all the goodness to help, you know, communities and people, families, industries flourish.
Yeah. I love it. That's what. So we actually say that in our business. Like, we do not openly evangelize. We like, that is not the deal for us. Because Jesus was so stealth. I'm like, if Jesus is going to be stealth on things, I want to be stealth on things. But by goodness, when he gives me that green light, I throw a firecracker at things. But that's like, we have so many new age people that come in, right? Because there's so much vibration and frequency and everybody's here for it. And I'm like, bring them all.
Yeah.
Like, man, new age people are so flipping hungry. I'm like, I'll talk to all of them. And I'll just
so open to things of the Spirit.
They are, And you're just like, yo, I know you think the source is the universe, but also his name's Jesus. That's the only difference. And also he's way better than what you think.
Yeah. That's the best thing about him too, is like he revealed his person to us. He's not some force of, we don't know him. No, we know him. He showed himself to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's cool because it's like, man, we are like the best undercover agents in the world. Like, what? We have the greatest gig, really. And we can do it in the very things that give us life. And that's what I think even business is, right?
Yeah.
It's the expression of things that are already within us that we get to express.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I talked with a friend of mine last night.
The wild and crazy and amazing adventure with God.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have a license to talk to everyone, to approach everybody, to navigate the entire world. There, like earlier, it's a circle. There's no ladder.
Mm-hmm.
It's like all of them.
We're all brothers and sisters, man. Like, I feel like that's a great revelation to even think about and go into, is like, no, man, we're all actually connected.
Yeah.
There is no separation. We are all like actually bound in in union.
Yeah.
Not only with the Lord, but with each other. Like, that's why the only commandment he gave us was love him and love each other.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so flippin' simple.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying about your friend? I jumped in on you.
I don't remember. We were just talking.
I sometimes jump on top of James.
What you just said led me to another thought. Shae, what you said earlier about maybe the starting point being God's, like, you're his beloved. I think that's the key to seeing everyone else as the beloved as well.
Oh, that's good.
I think that's what unlocks that. So, thanks for
that's good.
Jumping on interrupting my story. No, good.
I talk too much. It's fine.
It's good. It's good.
You guys are fun.
We are wild, dude. We are wild. If you really get us going over here, you gotta be careful.
A couple hooligans.
We are. We're just children just trying to live our best life. I mean, we're in our 30s, but still, it doesn't feel like that.
No, it don't. Well, Shae, thanks for joining us and talking to us.
Yeah, you guys are fun.
Where can like our listeners, and where can we find your stuff, your books and everything?
Yeah. So if you go to graceovergrind.com, then that'll take you to wherever you need to go to get the book. Is available, paperback, audio, Kindle. So all the formats, take it in whatever your favorite flavor is.
Yeah.
So I encourage you to buy that, to read it and to live it.
Mm-hmm.
It will absolutely fundamentally change the way you engage life. And so I encourage you to do that. And if someone wants to connect with me, I hang out mostly on Facebook, Instagram. You can catch me on LinkedIn too, but mostly on Facebook and Instagram.
Cool.
Good. You're like smart like the rest of us. I hadn't figured out LinkedIn.
I haven't either.
Like, I don't even know what that is.
I've got one. I have no picture, no nothing on it. Just got my name on it.
Oh goodness!
I've got some friends on there.
Yeah, I hang out there because of some of the corporate stuff that from an advisory perspective. But I have fun. My most fun happens on Facebook.
Well, definitely. And I love your book.
Yeah.
I think I highly encourage people to read it. Mm-hmm. It was wonderful. It was a wonderful read.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, is there anything you want to leave people with? Anything that you like? Any bombs you want to drop?
Well, I just want to reiterate something that we talked about earlier, which is that this is the invitation that lays before us, right? So I want to encourage those listening, if there's anything that was really resonating with you as we're talking about just growing in that relationship with him, the life union that is available to us with him, to just lean into that, just engage God differently in one way that you've never done before.
Oh, that's good.
It's just pick a way to engage God differently. Ask him a new question, engage him in a different way. Break up your routine that you may have with God and experience him in a new way.
I'll take that.
I will take that too. That's a good word.
Good.
That's a good word for the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make sure you clip that and put that at the very beginning.
Okay, we'll do it.
That's solid.
Absolutely.
Sorry. He's the editor.
That's good.
I don't know no technology. I just know how to get things started.
Yeah, you know how to schedule everything.
I know how to schedule. I don't know anything else.
Execution.
Golly. All right, guys. Well, we will see y'all next time.
Bye. If you enjoyed this episode of the Ancient Way podcast, drop us a like, share with your friends, share with your family. And if you'd like to support us and what we are doing, and you would like to play a direct role in our growth and the things that we do in the future,
we have a donation spot at the bottom of our show notes. So you can click on that, give however much you want. We appreciate absolutely everything. We appreciate our listeners. and everybody that's already come alongside and encouraged us, and even everybody that's been on our show. So thanks, guys.